Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something really fascinating. We're going to start with the foundational elements of commercial photography and then quickly ascend into a true masterclass on how to engineer premium, high-end visual hooks. If you've ever stared at a luxury product campaign and wondered how on earth they made a simple object look so unbelievably expensive, well, you are in the right place. We're going to decode that magic today and give you a repeatable framework to do it yourself.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting the commercial photography landscape, breaking into the industry, engineering those high-end visual hooks, decoding the brand archetype, creating material counterpoints, and finally, the subconscious problem-solution metaphor. Let's get right into it. All right, part 1, the commercial photography landscape. At its core, commercial photography is literally the visual engine of modern business. And honestly, it is incredibly demanding. Take professional food photography, for instance. It is notoriously tough to get right. I mean, photographers have to perfectly balance this intricate lighting and precise staging, all while racing against the clock before the lettuce wilts, the ice cream melts, or the client just loses their patience entirely. It's high stakes, real-time problem solving. Now, beyond food, there are a ton of diverse niches you could jump into, from advertising and e-commerce to fashion and portraiture. But here's the thing, no matter the niche, the baseline skills are exactly the same. And we're talking way beyond just knowing your camera settings. Pros need deep expertise in technical lighting, advanced post-processing software like Capture One, and let's not forget, serious business acumen. You're running a business. You're managing client relationships and negotiating contracts, all while delivering a top-tier creative product. Moving right along to part 2, breaking into the industry. So that brings us to a super practical question. If you are just starting out, how do you actually land these commercial gigs? Well, I want you to focus on this thought from professional photographer Katie McCumber. She says she started as a lighting assistant and recommends it to literally anyone. Why? Because assisting introduces you to working professionals. It is the ultimate hands-on education. Sure, you learn about light modifiers, but more importantly, you learn set etiquette, the unspoken rules of how a photo shoot actually runs. This is where you network, build connections, and learn the gritty realities of the job from the inside out.
But at the end of the game, you absolutely must build a strong portfolio. It's your non-negotiable ticket into the room. No exceptions. Early on, you might even have to shoot for free just to fill your book with the exact kind of work you actually want to be hired for. Because let's face it, nobody's going to hire you for things you haven't proven you can already shoot.
So how on earth do you pick those early projects? Photographer Bennett has this brilliant rule of thumb. He says every project comes down to 3 factors: the portfolio value, the people you're working with, and the price. And here's the golden rule. You must have at least 2 out of these 3 factors to justify taking on any new gig. If a shoot boosts your portfolio and the clients are awesome, do it, even if the pay is low. But if it pays well, does absolutely nothing for your book, and the clients are a nightmare, hard pass. It's an incredibly clear, no-nonsense matrix for navigating your early career. Okay, part 3. This is the juicy stuff. Engineering high-end visual hooks. Now that we've got the basics down, let's shift gears into our masterclass to reverse engineer high-end visual product hooks. The real secret sauce here, it's called tactile tension. This is exactly what separates a totally boring literal product shot from a true luxury visual hook. See, most commercial visuals fall straight into the literal trap. They just awkwardly document what a product looks like. But high-end work completely rejects that by engineering juxtaposition, friction, and narrative depth. Let's break down exactly how to do this with a straightforward 3-step framework. Step 1, or part 4 of our explainer, decoding the brand archetype. So step 1 of the framework is decoding the who. By just looking at the product's name and the adjectives used to describe it, you can instantly lock in your baseline lighting and color constraints. Usually, you can map pretty much any product into one of these 3 distinct aesthetic archetypes. First up, minimalist luxury. Think super clean lines, matte surfaces, and monochromatic palettes. Next is urban or futuristic. This is your cyberpunk tones, hard directional neon lights, and high contrast stuff. And third, organic or sensorial, relying on warm golden hour lighting, raw earth textures, and deep macro focus. Mapping your product to one of these immediately establishes your whole environmental mood before you even touch the shutter. Which brings us to part 5, creating material counterpoints. This is step 2 of our framework, the what. Once you've got your baseline aesthetic, you absolutely have to introduce friction. A truly powerful visual hook relies on the sheer power of friction and contrast. Let's say your product is sleek and smooth, right? Like a bottle made of polished glass or brushed titanium. You can't just slap it on a smooth background, you must starkly contrast it against a rugged, brutalist environment. Think raw volcanic rock or rough sandblasted concrete. Dropping a flawless object against an unpredictable texture instantly, and I mean instantly, elevates its perceived value. Now, conversely, if the product you're shooting is highly textured, maybe it's a thick-knit fabric or a heavily textured organic object, you do the exact opposite. You drop it into an ultra-precise, geometric, perfectly pristine environment. Imagine a pool of perfectly still water or a polished chrome grid. You are deliberately giving the viewer's eye something to fight against, you know? It's that precise juxtaposition that creates insane visual interest and just screams luxury.
Finally, part 6, the subconscious problem-solution metaphor. So here we are at step 3, the why. This is the absolute hallmark of high-end editorial work. And I want to ask you directly, if a client hands you a lightweight running shoe, or say a hydrating skincare serum, how do you visually communicate their benefits without falling into that boring literal trap we talked about earlier? You definitely don't just take a picture of a shoe on a running track or a serum bottle sitting on a bathroom sink. That's just way too literal. The answer? You shoot the metaphor. You look at the core benefit and you execute a visual metaphor for that exact benefit. For the lightweight running shoe, the visual hook shouldn't really be the shoe itself. It should focus on defying gravity. You capture microphenomena like suspended dust particles, levitation, or intense motion blur. And for the hydrating skincare serum, don't shoot hydration literally. Shoot pristine moisture using macrocaustic light reflections through water droplets or subsurface scattering of light. It's like a giant puzzle, mapping the physical to the abstract. And I really want to remind you why this matters so much. Focusing on the metaphorical benefit rather than the literal feature executes what's known as the subconscious cell. By focusing on these visual microphenomena, the floating dust, those liquid light reflections, you trigger an immediate, visceral, emotional response in the viewer, rather than a purely logical one. It completely bypasses the rational brain and makes the consumer actually feel the luxury. That right there is the pure power of a highly engineered visual hook. So the next time you step onto a set or plan your next portfolio shoot, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you just going to document a product and fall into the literal trap? Or are you ready to apply this framework, decoding the archetype, creating material counterpoints, and executing the subconscious metaphor to reverse engineer a truly high-end visual hook? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep creating.